Hey guys, welcome back to yet another episode of Top Billers Toolkit, where me and my twin brother interview top billers from all around the globe to unlock the secrets to their success. Today's guest is Alex Dick. Alex is one of the funniest, most down-to-earth recruiters we've ever had the pleasure of coming on the pod, and he's also a £1.8 million biller. After making bucket loads of money and ultimately feeling quite unfulfilled, Alex is now on a mission to scale his business, with a focus on helping as many people as possible. He's one of the very few recruiters using social media to great effect. He's generating millions of impressions every single month, and as a result, he gets 400 people every week reaching out to him wanting to join his company. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about Alex's journey with dyslexia and how it's made him more resilient. We'll touch upon how he managed to bill 1.8 million, and we're going to be delving into his social media strategy that's helped him generate millions of impressions every single month. I hope you guys enjoy the conversation as much as Ben and I did, and as usual, grab a cuppa or a glass of wine, and let's get into it, shall we? Alex, thank you so much for joining us today. We are really looking forward to speaking to you.
Not a problem. You're very welcome.
I didn't know this, but me and you had a chat off the podcast, and we spoke in 2020. I just think it's interesting, and we've kind of been following each other, maybe without even realizing it. I've been following your stuff, you've been following my stuff, but we haven't really engaged that much, I don't think, have we? But no, I think we're the perfect definitions of lurkers.
Yeah,
in the background.
exactly. But lurking always ends up with something. So
exactly, yeah, absolutely. But no, it's an absolute privilege to have you on the podcast today, and I would love to dive into, I think you become quite prolific on LinkedIn as well. Your content's amazing. It's definitely something I'd love to chat more
happy to
detail about. But we're going to start off with the first question that we ask everyone, which is, what's the number one tool in your toolkit, whether it be a mindset, strategy, or software?
Mindset, definitely. I think with a bad mindset, the other two are almost entirely pointless. If you have a strategy that you don't deliver on with enough sort of effort and willingness and resilience in the crappy times, because let's be honest, in recruitment there's plenty of them. But yeah, you could have the best strategy on the planet and it all goes to crap if you're not laser focused and on it. So yeah, I think mindset beats everything by a mile. You can train most other things, but if people come into it with the wrong mindset, you're stuffed.
I think probably about, I don't know, maybe 15 of the top billers we've had have all said mindset, which is crazy. But
are there people that have said other stuff?
There are a few other things. But mindset is definitely the number one. I think because they all believe that is absolutely the driving force of success for me. So I'm listening to a podcast. I'm listening to David Goggins. Sam has been telling me to listen to David Goggins for years, and I completely dismissed him. And I'm sorry, Sam, because when I listen to David Goggins this time, I absolutely love him. And when I'm listening to someone like him, I'm super motivated. I'm on it. I'm focused. What is your strategy for your mindset? Do you have one, or have you just always been like this, Alex?
No, I've always been like it. I think I was a pig-headed kid and kind of just carried that through, but learned to focus it a little bit more. So I went to what was called at the time a special school. People probably don't call it that anymore. But it was a school specifically for dyslexics, and we were taught by educational psychologists. And so a lot of it was around overcoming adversity and all of that sort of stuff, because we were going into that school typically unable to read or write at all. So it was sort of taking us from that. And in 2 years, I went from that to back to normal school. And that, I think, a lot of the lessons I was taught there weirdly have sort of carried through with me throughout later life. So
that's really interesting. Well, so basically it was like training on how to overcome adversity. Is that
to a degree? To a degree. And what you'll find is with a lot of neurodiverse people, they have to become pretty comfortable with overcoming things because your brain's working in a different way. So you've got to sort of always be thinking of solutions to things, and that just naturally then makes it easier to overcome adversity, because rather than you looking at it and becoming overwhelmed, instead you look at it and go, right, how do I get the hell out of this and how do I sort it out? So I think that lends itself to sort of some pretty positive ways of dealing with tricky stuff.
Was there any particular moment, Alex, where you remember back in school that was like a really powerful lesson, or was it just a collection of things?
It was a collection of things. It was probably drummed into me over a period of time, because I went in from that. So we're talking 7 years old. So we're talking pretty early on.
Cool.
I went from like locking myself into a car with the keys, and my mum having to get people to sort of break windows or AA or whatever to get me out, through to loving school just because it flipped and I understood it. So
wow,
I don't I don't know if it was a specific moment, but there were certainly teachers and people that really put an effort into me that the previous school hadn't, because the term they used, which again isn't politically correct, they said I was retarded in a report, which
Wow.
was pretty
Insane.
next
Interesting.
level. And I got a bit of sort of not revenge, but I had a moment where we went. One of the teachers was leaving from that original school, and I went back, and I had the best grades by an absolute mile. It was common entrance
Wow.
exam, so age 13, and I got 100% in most of them.
Wow.
Wow.
And because I'm quite good with memory, so sort of regurgitating fact was quite simple. And yeah, that was sort of a moment where people were like, I thought you'd be sort of dribbling in the corner. It's like, no, really. Actually, I'm a functioning human being, believe it or not.
That is amazing.
So.
That is amazing.
I feel like that's the definition of you put someone in the right environment and they can absolutely flourish. And I'm sure that's
100%.
very relevant to recruitment as well.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's just, that's a great story, man. I love that. Really cool.
I feel like the second thing that you probably thought you could put your middle finger up at everyone in the past that doubted you was the point where you reached 1.8 million in billings. I think that's, quite extraordinary. Yeah. Me and Sam speak to a lot of billers, and it's, I think it's 0.1% of the population that reached that number. This is quite a broad question.
Luck in it. So it wasn't just.
They all say that, Alex. They all say that.
Assuming there is a bit of luck in it, and me and Sam, I don't believe that for a second, Alex. I think it's a majority you. But how long did you think you took to get to that level? I'm sure it didn't happen overnight. How long did it take?
It was incremental increases over, well, coming up for a decade. So it was slowly improving everything I was doing, getting better at it, and also becoming more networked in the world. So it was consultant solicitors is my thing. And it was becoming more and more networked, and also having a stupid name helps because people remember someone called Adic, so that kind of helps as well. So when you're dealing with people, they're likely to remember the person with the stupid name over John Smith or whatever. So yeah, that's certainly played in it. So I've kind of been off the tools for quite a while, and I still now have 3 to 5 solicitors reaching out every month saying, "Hi, can you help me do this?" And some of those will be from conversations 5-10 years ago, but it's because I've always made an effort of actually talking to someone rather than just going, "Do you want to do the thing I am suggesting you do?" "Oh, no, okay, bugger off, repeat." I always took the time, and still do, to get to know people. And yeah, anyone that's interviewed with me to join ALS will know that, because they typically think it's going to be an hour, and sort of sometimes 2-3 hours later, we're still waffling about some sort of nonsense, typically nothing to do with recruitment at that point. But I believe you should get to know people properly. Otherwise, what's the point in being in a people business? So I'm quite passionate about that bit of it.
Cool. We're going to reference a lot of other billers, Alex, but
that's fine.
There's one other guy that we interviewed. His name's Asher Rudolph, and he had like quite a jump in billings. I think he went from, I forgot the number now, I'm going to butcher it, but I think he went from like 1 mil to 1.5 or 1.7. Have there been any periods in your career where you've made quite a jump because you've changed something?
No, it was definitely more incremental for me.
Oh, really?
So it was just a sort of general improvement. Like COVID massively helped, because the thing I specialized in was lawyers working from home. So when loads of other law firms were panicking and furloughing people and everything was going wrong for them, the environment I worked in, that was just like, oh, well, everyone was from home anyway, so it doesn't make any difference. So I was able to monopolize in that time period in a way that many others weren't, which, don't get me wrong, for reasons we'll probably go on to later, it was pretty tricky to monopolize that, but was able to sort of take advantage. And again, lots of people that I'd spoken to over a prolonged period of time about remote working and flexible working and all of that sort of stuff suddenly went, hang on, who was that bloke I spoke to about that? So that definitely gave it a boost, but it'd been motoring along quite a while, quite comfortably. So yeah, it was, but that was the sort of, yeah, COVID was my best ever year for that reason.
Cool.
Really interesting. And we've had pretty much every business development strategy there is, I think, so far, with a few that keep cropping up. For that 10-year period, I'm sure it changed and adjusted, but were there any fundamental business development strategies that you kept on going back to that worked time and time again?
Yeah, put the reps in, speak to a shitload of people, but also
volume. Okay, yeah,
volume, but targeted volume, honing in on the people that are likely to say yes rather than no, but also be yourself. So I've been unapologetically myself for the entire time I've been in business. I don't care if people don't like me. The people that don't like me aren't going to work with me, but the ones that bounce off of my personality will probably work with me above anyone else. So
Mm,
so I've always just stayed true to myself and not really given a much of a toss about what people think about me, and that certainly helped along the way.
mm,
So I think it's just be myself and do that at scale. So if you're not talking to a lot of people and spinning a lot of plates, the chances of many of those going positively are pretty low. Whereas if you're doing it at volume, then of course the probability improves dramatically. So there aren't many ultra high billers that I've met that are people that get into the office late, finish early, don't take it that seriously, won't speak to candidates outside of office hours and stuff like that. Because weirdly, the best people are probably working during office hours. So you've got to be flexible around them. And so I remember I was still speaking to candidates on my honeymoon. I think I
wow.
even spoke to a couple on my wedding day before the wedding had begun. Once the wedding had
That's
begun, I was
commitment.
mic'd up for a chunk of it, so I didn't then because I knew that'd haunt me. But yeah, I was always available to people, and
Mm,
it didn't matter whether it was day, night, evening, weekend. Sort of the best person I ever placed in billings did 690,000 in his first year, and I got a percentage of that.
wow.
And
690 in his first year.
yeah, in his first year
Wow.
as a lawyer, in
Wow.
a firm, and I got a fairly sizable chunk of that. So
Mm,
so that person I've worked on for 7 years, I think.
mm,
Wow.
Um, but I never gave up. There was one guy actually who may well listen to this, and I will bleep the name out for the purposes of this, but it actually got to the point where I just said, just sign the fucking contract. Like, you can't keep asking me the same questions every 6 months. I've had enough. And he did. And he's still at that firm now. But it just got to the point where I was like, I've tried to be nice about it. I've tried to be nice about it. And Rob, who works with me now, he was in the car and he's like, I can't believe you've just said that to a partner of a law firm. And I'm like, well, I tried everything else. I tried to be nice. That hadn't worked. So I had to just get on with it. And yeah, he just needed that push. And so yeah, adapt to the people you're dealing with as well. That helps.
Yeah.
But
My
yeah.
feeling that was a moment that you use your personality to your advantage as well, because they probably already bought into you, knew what you were like.
Yeah, he
So
knew
that
me quite
didn't.
well at that
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
It wasn't like some stranger that I'm just starting to swear at. There was a relationship building exercise that happened prior to that point.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel like you can't, well, correct if I'm wrong. It's difficult to change your personality. You're either probably interesting to speak to or have the social skills to kind of schmooze people, or you don't, or you need a lot of work. But the volume
Yeah,
piece is interesting because that for me is more controllable. But everyone's definition of volume kind of varies. So what
yeah.
would kind of high volume look like in your world, do you think? Just so
So
I can
then
kind of
the most like let's talk about placements. The most lawyers I placed in 1 month was 27
27. God,
in
that's
a month.
insane.
But that, to be fair, that was a bit of an insane month. But the thing is, I guess it's back to that mindset thing. I wasn't sat there rejoicing that I'd done 27. I was pissed off about the three that I'd lost,
Mm,
because that three that I'd lost would have represented another 60 grand to me. And I was
mm,
annoyed that I hadn't done that, because I could have easily placed them, but I
mm,
just lost them in the noise of how busy I was. So again, I came out of that month going, right, what do I need to do to make sure that never happens again? Because it was
mm,
the ones that I'd lost that annoyed me. And I think it's a weird thing with my mind. I don't tend to massively celebrate. Like, people talk about 1 million like it's this, or 1.8 million like it's this amazing thing. And to me, I don't really care about that. I
mm,
enjoyed the journey. The end result was just the end result. Like,
Mm.
yes, it allowed me to buy stupid watches and drive stupid cars and all of that sort of stuff. But actually, I didn't enjoy that as much as I enjoyed the journey to get there.
mm,
So yeah, it's always sort of striving to be better is kind of my thing.
mm.
Love that. Were you keeping
Brilliant.
track of your numbers at all? Or was it just like at the end of the year, you was like,
No,
whoa.
every month I'd just see lumps of money coming and go, oh. To be honest, it gets to an amount of money where you sort of run out of things to spend it on,
Yeah.
and without getting stupid. Like, I never got truly stupid, so I didn't go, oh, let's go and buy a yacht. But yeah, I got to a point where it just became, oh, that was a good month. Oh, that one
Mm,
wasn't quite so good, but it was still good by anyone else's sort of parameters. So there, I guess I became a bit blasé about it. In hindsight now, I look back and go, oh God, I wish I'd bought a load of investment properties and done all
mm,
these other things, because I could probably be retired now for what I've earned over the time I've done it. But instead, I bought stupid cars and rented stupid houses and did other stupid things. But I've grown up a bit now, thankfully. Otherwise I'll be living
You probably
under a
had a lot of
bridge.
fun though, Alex, right? You may have not invested in loads of
Yeah,
things, but you probably had a lot
yeah.
of fun.
I enjoyed. I've enjoyed my life thus far, and I plan to continue to do so. Is
Mm,
is the yeah, we only get to live it once, so let's enjoy it while we're here, sort of thing.
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely.
I just want to go.
Sorry, go ahead, Sam.
So I just want to go back to that period where you said you placed 27 lawyers in 1 month. Can we delve into like a day in the life of Alex during that period? Like, what were you doing on a daily basis to get that?
Panicking every day. No, so what I'd done is I flipped sort of. So normally recruiters are chasing their candidates, chasing their clients, and all of that sort of stuff. I'd effectively, with that client, become so close to them that, to all intents and purposes, I was the client. I was able to onboard people directly, so that made that process hugely more efficient. So I didn't have to speak to many people. I was just able to fire stuff in, and at the same time, I put the onus on the individuals to come back to me rather than me go to them. So I was only ever dealing with what was directly in front of me rather than trying to chase an infinite number of people to try and get them to sign effectively. So I would leave the ball in their court and making it clear that I will react very quickly at the point that they want something to happen, rather than me having a diary full of appointments where I have to chase people and chase people and chase people. And I still do that now. I'm a complete pain in the ass to get hold of, because when people give me a Calendly link and say, do you want to book this? I'm like, no. If you want to speak to me and you're trying to sell me something, here is my number. You call me. If you get me, great. If you don't, be persistent, then you might win. But if you're not persistent, you don't get hold of me, you didn't want it. So it's, yeah, most suppliers and things absolutely hate me for that reason, but whatever.
I feel like it's really hard. I don't see or hear many people who have put themselves in that level of control with clients. How do you do that? Like, if you were to teach a rookie how to do that,
it's tricky.
It's tricky. Yeah.
So I was in a niche at the point that it was only me in that niche. So
wow.
So it allowed me a certain level of I guess flexibility, and also trust is built over time, isn't it? So I'd been delivering the right stuff in for a prolonged period of time, and after a while, in reality, external involvement was only slowing the process, and it's a process we all wanted to be quick. So at a certain point, if you're delivering permanently, consistently, it gets to a stage where it's illogical other people being involved if you know what they want like the back of your hand, and arguably you've told them what they want after a point, then other people sort of verifying that becomes a slightly pointless exercise. But that's tricky if you're not the leader in that niche. If you have been able to get to the point where you're the go-to, then people trust you and will trust your decision making. But don't get me wrong, I don't have that with all clients, far from it. But if I push, most people will be comfortable to take the people I'm pushing, because they will trust that I'm knowledgeable enough that there's a reason I'm pushing them, sort of thing.
Yeah, that makes sense. So what I find interesting about your journey, Alex, is you obviously very successful biller, 1.8 million at your peak, and then you pivoted, right? You went into a different direction. What happened? What was the epiphany? What happened in your life at that point where you thought, I need to change things up?
Wife had 2 massive great heart attacks after the birth of our second kid, and I was told she was going to die.
Bloody hell.
So yeah, that was a bit of a. She didn't die, just to be clear. So let's not make it super somber. I say she's fine. She's got heart failure, but conceptually she's fine compared to if death is one end, she's very near the other end compared to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that we just had a kid 2 weeks earlier. She woke up with pressure on her chest, and we just thought we'd had an afternoon tea and a curry the day before because it was her birthday, and just assumed it was indigestion, but it wasn't. It was a thing called SCAD, which is sudden coronary artery dissection. So effectively her artery had split.
Wow.
And it had inflated itself, and it was pretty grim. So that made 2020, although it was my best year from recruitment, it was also my most challenging year I will probably have in my entire life, because I had a wife who came out of hospital with a heart that was barely functioning, and COVID was kicking off and everything else, and I had 2 very young children in the house with me, and thankfully my mother-in-law came and lived with us and sort of helped us through a lot of the sort of child side, which allowed me to work, because otherwise I don't know how I would have done it. And Rob, who'd gone to work for somebody else, came back to work with me to support me through it as well. And actually there are a fair few other people that jumps on, because in times of particular hardship, that's when you find out who actually gives a shit about you and who doesn't. And it's amazing, the people that you think would give a shit about you don't, and the people that you wouldn't have given a second thought to are the people that fall around you, and you see people's true character in those moments. And so I even say it to the team now, I'm like, don't judge us on how we behave in your good times, judge us how we behave in the tough times, because actually that's when people show their true character, in my view. So yeah, it was interesting, and I realized that billing a lot when you're almost on your when you're basically on your Todd, actually your business is worth £0 and 0p, or that's not true. It's worth the invoicing you have left in the system, basically. And who knows, I could get hit by a bus at any point, so I have to build something that's of value so that if that happens, my family are all right. So that was the sort of click in my brain that went, right, stop being an arsehole, stop spending your money on shit, right, go and actually build something and do it in a way that it will survive you if shit hit the fan. So
Yeah,
that's kind of what I've been concentrating on.
What
I'm way poorer now, though, but it's a long game now. It's not a short game. It's not all about watches and stuff. It's about selling something for a lot of money later. So
yeah,
interesting. Sorry, Sam, did you want to say something? You sound like you...
No, I haven't. No.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, I'm just amazed by that story. Thank you for sharing them, Alex. That must have been really
it was
tough,
pretty horrific, but yeah, we're out the other side.
So how has the business changed now, Alex? Just so I can get a kind of understanding of how you shifted things and maybe how your mindset shifted as well.
Yeah, so it was me on my Todd, just chasing fees, and basically just trying to chuck as many lawyers into places as I could, to now me running a business with people around me doing various other things that I'm crap at, which is most of running a business, if I'm honest. And then finding like-minded not like-minded recruiters who want to go on a slightly different journey than the sort of traditional recruitment model, and positioning us as a business that is positioned quite differently to a lot of other businesses out there. So we're very commission heavy, but in a way that people also have salary and all of the nice things of a normal business, but our commission structure is quite a bit greater than a lot of others. And I don't mean great as in better, I mean great as in the numbers are bigger. So we're planning on making a little bit of money out of a lot of people rather than a lot of money out of a few people. So kind of what I was doing in legal effectively, but transitioning it into recruitment. But as we all know, recruitment doesn't have many barriers to entry. So I need to pay salaries and offer all sorts of things that law firms don't, because lawyers need insurance, and you can't just go and magic that up unless you've got a lottery win, and then you can. But yeah, so I'm building a business that doesn't need me, is the plan, because then I can spend time with my family and enjoy things, but also at the same time build something that's valuable, because the more onus it has on me, the less value the business has if I'm not in it. So yeah, building something that's bigger and better than me on my Todd.
Yeah, absolutely. When we spoke off camera as well, Alex, I did a post about this actually because I found it fascinating. You said, you were earning a shed load of money. Now you're happier than ever, but you're not earning as much. And I found that really interesting and just a really good reminder that, if you hit 1 million, it probably wears off very quickly. And then you kind of default to actually your environment and how you feel. Yeah. How have things changed? Why are you happy? I know it might be obvious, but I kind of just want the listeners to understand this.
I'm more fulfilled by helping other people on their journeys and seeing the positive impact I can have on other people than I was just seeing numbers on a spreadsheet or in a bank. And look, don't get me wrong, it could be even better than it is now if I had that bank balance and this, but that will come with time. So I enjoy the journey, I think, is probably the truth. When I sell ALS, which one day will happen, I will have to be very conscious of my mental health at that point and probably have other stuff I'm concentrating on in that moment so that I don't sort of go off the bubble, because when I'm in, I'm all in. And so we're really going for it at the moment, and hence like the social media stuff and everything. And yeah, after that it's going to be interesting, but I'm aware that it's going to be interesting, so hopefully I'll have put the right things in place to deal with it. But yeah, hope either that or I'll just default to buying boats and stuff and just go and while away my woes on a boat somewhere.
That's really cool, and a good reminder to enjoy the journey and find a job or an environment that is going to be enjoyable.
Yeah, it's again the most important thing, and people neglect it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I'd love to move on to your prolific, I think, LinkedIn presence. You may not label it as that. I think it is, because I can see you everywhere, Alex, and I feel like you get a lot of engagement. You've got a lot of kind of followers and supporters.
Yeah, I'm a serial spammer, I think is how I would describe it.
Why did you even because a lot of recruiters or a lot of business people, wouldn't even consider using social media. So what was it that got you into LinkedIn in the first place, do you think?
Well, realizing that all those people are idiots is the starting point, because especially like take a recruiter, they build an audience of tens of thousands of people and then sit there silently. It'd be like inviting thousands and thousands of people to a stadium to do a speech to them and then just sitting in the corner staring at the wall. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I want to build something that's quite large. The last business I was involved in building is very large. And I want to build something big. So we're talking hundreds of people over the next 10 years. And to do that, I'm not going to do that by nobody knowing who I am and what I believe in and what the business believes in. So what's the easiest way of conveying that? Well, I can't go and speak to the hundreds and hundreds of thousands of recruiters, or probably millions of recruiters that are out there. But if I post something that's engaging, that will reach way further than I am able to reach. And so as a business, we get over 400 people applying to join us a week. And personally, I get a minimum of about 70 messages directly from people on LinkedIn asking to join us. And then probably another 10, 15, 20 asking to work with us. And I don't even count how many ask to find them jobs. And that's all off of posting. So
it's crazy.
People don't invest time in it, but like it's not all consuming. And any pipe of that sort of stuff, people would pay sort of business development companies and all sorts, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, to achieve the same thing. And I'm just doing it by spouting shite I believe in. So it's like, I would say that stuff naturally, although my Stephen Bartlett video that's done quite well,
Love that.
That was very heavily edited because yeah,
I like that video. That was a great video.
I probably would have been quite sued if it wasn't edited. So Sasha, who edited it, I think did a good sort of 2+ hours of editing out.
I really like that video. I think it was a good kind of grounding video to say, hey, look, because I have to admit, when I watched it, not really understanding what he was investing in, I was like, oh my God, is this going to change recruitment? And then I listened to it and I was like, oh, okay, well, this is just classic Stephen Bartlett, amazing marketer and brilliant salesperson. Which was quite interesting. I do love Stephen, don't get me wrong, but it was just interesting to hear your perspective on what he's doing.
Yeah, he's not very pro recruiters. So I was speaking to somebody today who went to one of his talks, and he's like, everyone doesn't need recruiters. You should just post, and then people will come to you. And also he said you should do like 8 interviews. Don't do 8 interviews, people. If you're doing 8 interviews, you're not going to get the best people. But yeah, I don't think he necessarily understands the world of recruitment, and he's seeing it through a rose-tinted set of specs, because at the end of the day, if you are on the BBC and you have one of the biggest podcasts in the entire world, that's one of the only ones that's actually televised as well as online, of course, if you put up a post and say you need something, you're going to get tens of thousands of people interested. But that's not the experience of a normal business person. A normal business person is shouting in a room where nobody is listening because they're not putting engaging content out there. And you only have to look at recruiters who post about a job they've got. And these are people with massive network. And how much engagement does that get? Bugger all, because people aren't interested. So yeah, I try not to sell in my stuff, which I think is why it gets a reasonable amount of engagement, because I'm not sat there going, join ALS, join ALS, join ALS. In fact, there's a hard and fast rule with the marketing element of the business that's not allowed. Like anything that goes out has to, except for of course an advert, but anything that goes out that's a post should not be sort of doing that. It should be trying to add value in some form or speak to someone rather than just trying to be a sales pitch or an advertorial or whatever they like to call them.
Yeah. Am I right in saying, Alex, that your main strategy for posting is to get more people working for your company? That's the prime in your mind?
So the main aim is to change recruitment for the better. But a byproduct of that, naturally, if we're posting about the things that are important to us around flexible working and all of them KPIs and all that sort of stuff, naturally, of course, people are going to go, do you think they're about that? And then they start to look at us more and start to go on that journey. So I guess if I'm looking at it purely from a financial perspective, yes, but in reality, I'm looking to make a bit of a positive impact on the world of recruitment, because I think we all know it gets a pretty bad rap Stephen Bartlett is an example of it having a bad rap, making a sweeping generalization about it being broken, and then speaking about elements of it that aren't even broken. So recruiters have a pretty bad, yeah, a lot of people have pretty bad views. I actually commented on it earlier. I now tell people I'm a legal human trafficker, and I get less bad reactions from telling people I'm a human trafficker than when I tell people I'm a recruiter. And it's nuts. It's nuts. So yeah, it's an odd world we live in where human trafficking is higher in the hierarchy of acceptable jobs than recruiter. But yeah, it's
You should have that in your headline, Alex. That'd be
well, I did think about putting it, but at the moment I'm having a fight with YouTube over the fact that my surname's Dick. So I feel like I need to pick my battles because they keep pulling down our videos saying that we're using like inappropriate language.
really?
Literally, man, I've had to send them a passport and everything. It's
Oh
ridiculous.
my god,
Yeah.
that's so great. That's so funny. So I just want to dive more into the content because I feel like you've had abnormally great results, Alex. And I just want to kind of, and you might have a rigid process or it might be more fluid, but for other people wanting to achieve some good results on LinkedIn and maybe
Yeah.
start getting the engagement that you're getting, where do they start? Like, can you point them in the right direction?
Yeah, be yourself, starting point. So don't be the person you think people want you to be because people will see through it. Don't brag all the time because it's boring and everyone knows that nothing is perfect. So don't give a romanticized view. Be honest about work life, your views on things, and also don't give a shit about whether people hate you for it or love you for it. Just be authentically yourself. And look, if you're a toxic wanker, people probably aren't going to engage with it. But then that's probably the story of your life. But if you post about things that are important to you that you believe in, you will find naturally other people that have those similar beliefs. And those people will become quite passionately supporting that because there aren't many voices. Like what, less than 1% of LinkedIn is actively posting. So if you're consistently posting and turning up every day and they're seeing you on their feed every day and you're talking about things that are important to them, naturally people are going to start to engage with that. And we've just done that consistently for a pretty decent length of time. And to be honest, I had no idea that the level of engagement we were getting. I just sort of replied to people. I don't pay much attention to it. And it was only recently when I was speaking to somebody else who's got, in fact, two people. There's a group with three of us in it who are all local and involved in recruitment, and they've both got the blue sort of top voice, real one, not the one you've done for articles, the one you get invited to. And they shared their stats with me, and I shared mine with them. And my last 3 months is more than their year. That's when I went, bloody hell, that's we are reaching quite a lot of people because I think at peak we're on about 6.8, 6.9 million in 90 days.
Wow.
Which again, I know it becomes weird. And I was talking to Charlotte who helps me with the LinkedIn side of things, and Sasha who helps on the video and TikTok side. And we were talking about it, and I remember it wasn't that long ago we would have like 10,000 impressions on a post, and we'd be thinking this is like the best thing ever. Look how many people we've reached, and sort of you get 10, 15 engagements, and you'd be thinking it's marvelous. And now we're sort of blasé about it going to 1 million and all of that sort of stuff, which is ridiculous in itself. But I'm not really that bothered about vanity metrics. It's more about are more people interested in us? Are more people messaging me? And I try and reply to everyone. I'm not able to anymore just because of the number of messages I get, but I go out of my way. If somebody asks me for advice and I think I can help, I will always try and reply still now, even though that's happening at scale. And I don't know how I'm going to manage that forever, but we will try because I just want to help people. And that's people that join us who end up in hopefully a less toxic environment with more support and more and the ability to earn more and more flexibility. But also, if I can help others, there's probably 40 or 50 recruiters that come to me if they want to bounce an idea off of someone, then go to their own employers. So there's a lot of that going on at the moment, and I'm happy to give my time where I can. It's always there. It's just tricky at scale now. It's what I'm starting to learn, but who needs sleep?
I love that. I would so I completely agree with your kind of foundational tips, which is kind of like be yourself, add value, don't worry what other people think. I feel like you have more strategy below that Alex,
So
judging
there
from the
is,
tracking, which is interesting because I remember we spoke off camera
yeah.
and Alex said that you have this, you track a lot and you look at the data. If there was a few like little fundamental things that you've noticed make the biggest difference to a post and its virality or success, what would they be, do you think?
So people think it's pictures, but it's not, because I'm not that attractive, and weirdly, pictures don't improve my post in any way. If anything, they make them worse. I think people go,
Really
"Fuck that," so
interesting.
I'm not going to look.
Wow.
So if you are very attractive and people are going to engage with you because of that, then they will almost certainly improve it. But in normal life, that it makes a bit of a difference, but not a huge difference. Video content, again, I do a bit of that. I try and vary it. I'm posting a lot of pictures at the moment because it occurred to me that I'm getting ridiculous engagement, but nobody really knows what I look like. So I was like, well, I might as well do that because I'm not sort of a man behind a mask. But yeah, I think we do pay attention to how things do. We pay attention to topics that do well and tweaking them and trying to improve on them over time. We pay attention to structure of posts and how subtle structure changes can make a huge difference. So I've posted almost exactly the same post as a block of text versus a sort of sweeping generalization statement, and then sort of a few bullet points around the same thing, and then a synopsis with a call to act. Well, actually, sometimes call to actions actually make it worse, but we played around with it quite a bit to sort of see what works. And so I'm now at a stage where I could be pretty, like, if you said to me tomorrow, go and do a post and get 1,000 likes, I would be able to put together a post that would get 1,000. Well, I could probably guarantee up to about 5,000 or so
Wow.
things. But the problem is there's a lot of creators out there that then do that same post over and over again. And that's the thing I'm not willing to do. So we're constantly recording video, which I've got this now, but I was doing it on my phone, but staring at myself makes me go weird. So we've started recording, or we have always been recording, a huge amount of video, and it's just normally me talking a load of crap about some subject, and then that we work on turning that into posts and turning that into content. So we're always trying to refresh it and refresh ideas, because my opinion changes on stuff. So something I think today and something I think in a few weeks' time, when I've looked into it more, may well be different. So you can get quite a lot of posts out with just brain dumping onto video. But
So
I've upped the quality, so now I can stick said brain dumps onto TikTok as well, because
awesome.
that
That's
is the
great.
future, I think. So
Yeah, 100%. I love TikTok. I think it's a great platform. So me and Sam kind of have a tick list in our mind of what posts like you, we wouldn't be able to confidently get 1,000 likes on a post like you, but there's some posts that we know are going to pop off. Anything to do with top billers, figures,
yeah,
anything to do with people overcoming something, like going from a really bad situation to a good situation, short and snappy, bullet points. Are there any kind of, I'm guessing if you can write in 1,000, a post that reached 1,000 likes, you've got a tick list in your mind of what you're trying to do. Can you give us an insight into what that looks like?
Well, we all know, look, I'm saying I'm going to make this more for recruiters. We all know the things that people are bitching about constantly. Any of those subjects framed correctly are going to do well.
Yeah.
So I think playing with that works, but you have to do it in a sincere way. You have to add some value in the posts, or humor. I use humor quite a lot just because like boring dry text is a bit dull. But yeah, just the topic, everyone knows the topics that are going to do well, but you have to do it in a way that's original, because any of us could put up a post saying toxic manager sort of rule book, and then just list all the things we see people doing that are toxic and go, don't be that guy or girl or whatever in the modern world. And you sit there and go, okay, that's probably going to do well because loads of people are going to go, blah, 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 and they'll do well on TikTok because everyone will go, no, you're the toxic wanker. So it's interesting posting the same post on both platforms, because you do it on LinkedIn and everyone's like, yeah, no, you're right, and supportive, and you do it on TikTok and one guy called me a nonce. So I'm like, and do you want to know the real irony? I just went back going, and you're clearly an idiot. My comment got moderated. His comment didn't. I was like, what the hell? But yeah. So apparently, according to one bloke, I'm a nonce, but I'd just like to be clear that I'm not. But one of my mates captioned the word nonce and me on a post where the thing had done it, where I was talking about this, and then sent that to me and a load of other friends. I was like, thanks for that, mate. Yeah, that's just what I want. Cheers.
That's so funny. So I completely agree with you. I think topic is number one for me and Sam.
Yeah.
Topic is absolutely key. And originality, that's really difficult, I think. You know, you have to have quite a creative mind and a lot of practice. Am I right in saying for you, it's really more of a skill that you developed over writing, you know, hundreds of posts as opposed to having a formula for
Yeah,
originality?
it's over time, but also just because my brain is a bit different, I tend to look at things from a slightly different angle and just express that. And there's a guy going viral on TikTok at the moment who has literally verbatim copied our posts, but he's just
Really?
done it in a slightly different manner. Like even the
What?
wording's the same.
Oh my
But he's
God.
absolutely I think one of his posts has 50,000 likes on TikTok, and I'm like, you absolute wanker. But of course,
What?
now I can't call him out on it because his post's much bigger than mine. So I'm like,
Oh, God.
That's crazy.
but yeah,
That's so annoying.
that's the other thing we've noticed recently. So there's quite a lot of accounts stealing our content.
Mm.
And we know they're doing it because Sasha, who fronts our TikTok, is in some of these posts they've stolen.
Oh,
So
really?
they're literally stealing it and using images of like us,
Oh my
and yeah,
God.
they're not even original enough to remove them. It's like, if you're going to
That's
steal, at
crazy.
least sort of get AI to replace the people or something. Just make an effort, but they can't even be bothered to do that. But yeah, it's just, I guess, yeah, it's something to go. Oh, we must be doing something right if people are nicking it. So
Oh,
Yeah,
100%.
100%.
And when you're looking at metrics, Alex, what are the main metrics or one metric that you're looking at to see if something's successful or not? What data are you looking at to see what's working?
so it's tracking the amount. So people following afterwards.
Yeah,
So follower growth,
yeah,
messages received, um, the amount of people who are interested in us off of the back of it, and all of that sort of stuff. We of course track the vanity metrics because those are the only ones that you're shown on the back end of LinkedIn.
yeah,
So you need, like, the easiest thing to do is press download and download the
yeah.
sort
All
of
the
how many
data.
followers you got and all of that sort of stuff on every
Mm,
day. But it's really around growth. We want to see growth on the vanity metrics because
mm,
there has been a direct correlation between that and the amount of messages we're receiving and the amount of engagement we're getting on.
mm,
So the platforms we're concentrating on, LinkedIn and TikTok. We have an Instagram, but the same effort isn't, sort of strategy stuff isn't being put into that yet. And so as long as everything isn't dropping off of a cliff, which I understand a lot of people are finding on LinkedIn at the moment, actually we're quite happy and comfortable. But for a while, I'm not going to lie, we were chasing sort of viral posts just because I did get kind of caught up in the people coming up to me at the Rec Expo going, "Oh, look how well you're posting." I'm like, "Oh, really? I didn't know." But yeah, it's really about us being able to assist in our growth as a business and assist in people's awareness of us, because
mm,
I joke, but I'm looking to create something more akin to a cult than a business. So a
mm,
lot of that is a complete awareness and a belief in what we're talking about and all that sort of stuff. So that is, yeah, that's, I think engagement, genuine engagement is the important bit, not how many people have clicked more on the post. It's how many people have actually messaged you off the back of it. And I get way more messages of substance off the public forum than I do on it, because
mm.
I've had posts that on the actual post you would look at it and think it's doing really badly because it's only got 40 or 50 likes or whatever, but actually I've had hundreds of messages off of the back of it, but it's
Interesting.
just
Yeah.
on a subject that no recruiter in their right mind is going to agree with me
Mm,
on that post,
yeah.
because they only need someone to see it and go, ah, you agree with that, do you? So yeah, certain topics I know will do very well on the bit that I care about, but won't do
Yeah.
very well on post. But that's again stuff that we're constantly playing around with
Yeah.
and looking at. So it's just, yeah, data is king, even though it's really dull looking at it, but
Yeah.
it is the important bit.
That's really interesting. Sam, do you have, I feel like I'm
No, it's all good. You've asked some great questions. Just one thing I wanted to know, Alex, which channels have been most useful? I know LinkedIn has, but are there any other channels that are showing signs of going to be very useful in the future?
TikTok.
And really?
So our work TikTok hit 10,000 last week and is on 10.5 now, and is motoring. And in terms of engagement we have, if you compare the company channel, so ignore me for a minute because we're just playing around with my TikTok at the moment. We're not taking that seriously. We're taking the work one seriously at the moment. The work one, we get loads of messages directly of people that well, we get really nice messages. Actually, we've done some posts where people are like, I really needed to see this today and stuff like that, which is really nice to see, because we just want to have a positive impact on the world. I know it sounds stupid, but I actually am way more concerned about having a positive impact on the world of recruitment and the world as a whole than I am on how many people like or follow or whatever. But our company profile on LinkedIn has 35,000 and is growing at about 1,000 to 2,000 a month every month consistently, and has been for a while. The TikTok is growing now faster, and in terms of engagement, there's millions of people engaging with it a month now, which again, the company LinkedIn page, like all company LinkedIn pages, kind of it has some posts that do well, but it's nowhere near the same level of sort of eyes on it. So yeah, and I've now got recruiters messaging me on TikTok asking to join a lot now.
So cool.
So it's probably now comparable to my personal LinkedIn profile in terms of how many messages I get from people asking about the business and asking to join. And that's something that we've been taking it seriously for a little while, but it's really gone to a next level since Sasha's been involved. And so she's been with us since January, February, and it was 200 people, and I think something like 5,000 likes at that point, and now she's well into the millions of likes and views is nuts, and messages is nuts, and yeah, she's really bloody good at what she does. So that's helped, because I don't have a clue when it comes to TikTok. You only have to look at the stuff that I do when I'm recording myself, and it looks like I'm a hostage. It's not the best. Weirdly, in environments like this, I can talk and be quite animated, but when I'm literally just talking to a camera, it's like someone's got a gun to my head and I'm holding a newspaper going, hello, yes. It's like monotone as well. It's really weird. I'm getting better though. And
I thought your video was really good, Alex. I thought it didn't sound monotone at all.
So there's been a few, we're really making an effort on making me less of a loser on screen now. And also, to be honest, it's things like just having a mic, so I have something that I know the sound's going to be decent. Having a thing that follows my face, so I'm not constantly worrying that I'm out of frame, and just stupid stuff like that's made a difference. And there's a guy, Dominic, who's helping me out at the moment as well, who's kind of helped. Well, both Dominic and Sasha have helped kind of understand that you don't need to do one take on everything, which is what I was doing before. So I was like overthinking it, trying to do one take, where it's like, no, editing exists. You can say the same thing 900 times if you want. And so yeah, realizing that, which is, we're talking literally a couple of weeks ago, that this is starting
really? Wow. Yeah,
has made one hell of a difference, because now, and also I just make a load of really weird fucking faces. I know it sounds weird, but I've put out some content that makes me look like a complete twit. And my view is that if I put that out, which is like all the outtakes of me trying to record stuff and just making weird facial expressions and noises, that actually, if that's out there, then anything I genuinely put out will be viewed as a real triumph of sort of professionalism and glorious by comparison. So yeah, but we'll get there. Well, I want to become the Joey Swall of recruitment. I don't know if you've ever come across his TikTok, but if you haven't
actually, Joey Swall. No, I'll look him up.
He's a gym influencer that basically tells people that are
yes, I have. Yeah,
do better.
Do better. Yeah. I
want to basically go down that road on TikTok, but we'll see if we get there. It's a work in progress. I
can imagine
a labor of love at the moment.
I'm sure you're going to get there, Alex. And we're coming towards the end of the pod. I just want to say thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure. I have to say, this is one of the most relaxed, in a positive way, conversations we've had on our podcast, and I feel like it flowed really well, and you gave lots of information and golden nuggets. So thank you so much for joining us, Alex. Really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Genuinely.
I've never laughed so much on a podcast as well. So that's
you've done it.
You've won, Alex.
Yeah,
Good,
absolutely.
good. I might put that on my LinkedIn bio now.
Yeah.
Biggest joker on a podcast.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to this episode. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to subscribe on YouTube and Spotify. Tune in for another episode next week, and we look forward to seeing you again very soon. Peace and love.